Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat. Stay with us as we bring you all the news you need to follow this Monday morning. Farmers to go on a one-day hunger strike while the vaccination program is to begin in the United States. So historic day there. Let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Farmers' unions leading protests at the borders of the national capital against the 3 new farm laws will go on a one-day hunger strike from today. They say they will intensify their protest. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has said that he will also fast today in solidarity with the protesting farmers. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has said the Tukde Tukde gang is trying to take advantage of the farmers' movement against the new farm laws. The Wall Street Journal reports on how hate group Bajrang Dal has been allowed to thrive on Facebook in India out of political and safety consideration. Our top story now, the farmers' unions who've been leading protests at the borders of the national capital against the 3 new farm laws have said that the leaders of all the farmer organizations will observe a day-long hunger strike today as part of their ongoing agitation. The hunger strike, which will begin now at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., is part of the farmers' plan to intensify their agitation from today. The farmers said that protests will also be held in other parts of the country. The unions also disassociated themselves from a delegation of farmers from Uttarakhand who met Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar on Sunday and extended their support to the 3 new laws. On Sunday, the protests continued across the Delhi borders with more farmers joining in the stir at Shingu, which is at the Delhi-Haryana border. And thousands of farmers on their way to Delhi reached the Rewari border of Haryana, where the police had blocked the Delhi-Jaipur highway to stop them from entering the state.
Another border point partially blocked. This time, it's the Delhi-Jaipur highway, the only new highway to be blocked as the Delhi-Noida border at Chilla opened today. As farmers from Rajasthan and Haryana marched towards Delhi, the police stopped them on the Rewari border, resulting in a blockade for those travelling from Jaipur to Delhi.
There are farmers gathered on this side, singing songs on the stage. All of these farmers being led by Mr. Yogendra Yadav. On the other side of these barricades are the police deployments.
The Prime Minister says he wants to gift the farmers something historic. Farmers are saying, thank you, we've looked at it, we don't like it, we never wanted it, we don't like it. Prime Minister says, no, I'll change the wrapping. Farmers say, thank you, we don't want it. We don't have arrangement, to be absolutely honest. But this challenge is too big. Yes, it's cold, yes, it's difficult. And yes, it also causes inconvenience to other commuters. We are very conscious of that. In fact, we are giving this leaflet to everyone, saying we are sorry. We don't want to trouble. This is not our aim. We want to facilitate.
जब तक ये नहीं खोलेगा तब तक हम यहीं बैठे रहेंगे. दिल्ली जरूर पहुंचना है.
With no solution in sight, the protests at the Delhi-Jaipur Highway 2 are set to continue. But for those who travel on these border routes, things are unlikely to get easier anytime soon. At the Rewari border on the Delhi-Jaipur Highway, with camera person Gauri Prasad, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Well, let's go across to NDTV's Arvind for more. And Arvind, so today, in fact, now the farmers will sit on protest for this one-day hunger strike. They've also said that such similar protests will take place in different parts of the country.
Yeah, Gargi, in an attempt to intensify their protest against the 3 farm laws and also demand to repeal the electricity bill that has been proposed by the government, the farmers are going on a hunger strike, one-day hunger strike across the country. In fact, we are at the Singhu border where more farmers have joined this particular protest, where hundreds and thousands of farmers are camping at the border in protest against the farm laws. In fact, there have been at least 5 rounds of talks between the farmers union and also the government, but there has been no solution that has been arrived at here, and that's why the farmers are intensifying the protest so that the government actually relents and then gives in to their demand. So what they are saying is that their protest in the coming days will intensify, and today is a mark that they are going on a one-day hunger strike.
All right, Arvind, they're reporting on what's taking place at the Shingu border. Also, more farmers are joining in there. You can see the visuals from this morning as the farmers have been sitting on protest. Sukirti also joins us on the phone line for more. And Sukirti, are there any divisions within the farmer groups? On Sunday, a group from Uttarakhand went and met the agriculture minister. Also, there was talk of how one of the borders that was blocked was actually opened up. So, what are you hearing on that front?
Well, yes, Gaji, you are correct when we say that there are certain divisions within the farmers groups. While the demand from all of them continues to remain the same, that they want the farm laws repealed, but the level of resistance to the government differs in the way that, for example, on the UP border, the Delhi-Noida border, which is also known as the Chilla border, there was a group of farmers from UP, and once one of their farmer leaders had a meeting with Mr. Rajnath Singh, and they got assurances that they would be given a separate meeting time and there would be a negotiation, they lifted the blockade from the Delhi-Noida border, something that has completely failed in the case of the Punjab and Haryana farmers despite their 5 rounds of meetings with the government. So on one hand, we have the Punjab-Haryana farmers who, despite several rounds of meetings, continue to remain at the borders and refuse to lift the blockade. On the other hand, you have farmers from Uttarakhand or UP who are far more ready to have a negotiation with the government, are willing to be flexible in that manner. So definitely that is the case here. When we go and speak to these farmers, demand still the same, asking for repeal of farm laws. But when it comes to the level of extent of protest that they would go with, when it comes to blocking these borders and these connection points to Delhi, then some of them are more flexible. But so far, the one group that continues to remain absolutely resistant is the Punjab-Haryana group that has been blocking the Singhu border as well as the Tikri border. And now we have this new group of Rajasthan-Haryana farmers being led by Mr. Yogendra Yadav. So far, they've been saying the same, that the Rewari point on the Delhi-Jaipur highway, that will also continue to remain blocked until the farm laws are repealed. So they are also having a similar stance like the Punjab-Haryana farmers, refusing to move.
All right, Sukirti, thanks so much for joining us with those details. Now, Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad yesterday stated stern action will be taken against nation breakers. He said Tukre Tukre gang is trying to take advantage of the farmers' movement against the farm laws. Mr. Prasad, who's a Union Minister for Law and Justice, made the assertion while launching the Bihar BJP's statewide Kisan Chaupal Sammelan.
नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कहा कि जब हम बातचीत करने को तैयार हैं, हम कहने को तैयार हैं कि एमएसपी नहीं हटेगी, तो कौन लोग हैं कह रहे हैं कि जब तक ये कानून हटेगा नहीं, हम पीछे हटेंगे नहीं। तो हम भी कहना चाहेंगे बड़े आदर के साथ, भारत सरकार किसानों का बहुत सम्मान करती है, नरेंद्र मोदी जी किसानों का बहुत सम्मान करते हैं और देश के किसान भी मोदी जी का बहुत सम्मान करते हैं। हर जगह हम जीत रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर किसानों के आंदोलन की आड़ में भारत को तोड़ने वाले लोग, टुकड़े टुकड़े लोग पीछे होकर आंदोलन के कंधे से गोली चलाएंगे तो उनके खिलाफ बहुत सख्त कार्रवाई भी की जाएगी। ये भी हम बहुत साफ साफ कहना चाहते हैं। इस पर हम कोई समझौता नहीं करेंगे। क्या मतलब है?
Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has said that he will also fast today in solidarity with the protesting farmers.
मैं भी उनके साथ कल एक दिन का उपवास रखूंगा। मैं सभी आम आदमी पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं से, समर्थकों से अपील करता हूं कि वो भी किसानों की इस मांगों के समर्थन में एक दिन का उपवास रखें। केंद्र सरकार के कुछ मंत्री और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कुछ लोग बार बार कह रहे हैं कि ये किसान देशद्रोही हैं, ये आंदोलन देशद्रोहियों का है, यहाँ पे एंटी नेशनल लोग बैठे हुए हैं। मैं उनसे पूछना चाहता हूं, हजारों एक्स सर्विसमैन, पूर्व सैनिक जो रिटायर हो चुके हैं, ऐसे हजारों पूर्व सैनिक वहां पे बॉर्डर पे किसानों के साथ बैठे हुए हैं, जिन लोगों ने एक समय में देश की रक्षा करने के लिए अपनी जान की बाजी लगाई थी। ऐसे हजारों सैनिक हैं जो अपने घरों में बैठ के उनके लिए दुआएं कर रहे हैं, प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं। ये सारे एंटी नेशनल हैं।
Well, let's move on now to other news. And despite being tagged by Facebook security team as a potentially dangerous organization that supports violence against minorities across India, the Bajrang Dal has been allowed to thrive on the social network out of political and safety considerations. That's what the Wall Street Journal has reported. Facebook has dithered on acting against the right-wing group with ties to the ruling BJP because cracking down on Bajrang Dal might endanger both the company's business prospects and its staff in India, is what the newspaper wrote, reaffirming its reportage earlier this year on the subject. In August, the journal had reported on an alleged bias in Facebook's policies that favored the ruling BJP out of business interest and said that former Facebook executive Ankhi Das had lobbied in favor of a leader of the ruling party who made anti-Muslim comments. Facebook, which banned the politician just days after the report was published, and Ms. Das then stepped down from the company soon after that. Now, actor turned politician M&M chief Kamal Haasan kick-started his campaign in Madurai for the Tamil Nadu Assembly elections, which are due in May. A large number of people were present at the airport and few others pockets to receive the actor who arrived there on Sunday. However, he did not hold any public meeting due to government restrictions as part of the COVID lockdown. He only held indoor meetings with his cadre. Invoking late Chief Minister MGR, who also founded the AIADMK, Kamal Haasan promises to fulfill MGR's dream of making Madurai the second capital. Calling integrity his party's mantra, he appealed to the youth to join his party. Well, let's go across to Sam Daniel for more. And Sam, tell us more about Kamal Haasan's plans today in Madurai.
Today, Kamal Haasan is expected to move to another district in southern Tamil Nadu for his second day of campaigning. He is campaigning as part of his first 4 days Gargi, reaching out to the district where to receive his campaign. But last week started in Madurai, seen as the political capital of Tamil Nadu. Two major points. One, Kamal Haasan tries to invoke the name of M.G. Ramachandran, the late Chief Minister and founder of AIADMK, saying successive governments, particularly the ruling AIADMK now, has failed to fulfill MGR's dream of transforming Madurai, developing Madurai, and also making it the second capital of Tamil Nadu. And he promises to make Madurai the second capital, captures power. Secondly, he appears to be focused in reaching out to youngsters across Tamil Nadu. Earlier, Kamal Haasan was known to address students in colleges and universities across the state, and now particularly talking to youngsters, appealing to them. He asked them to join his party to empower. I think how when Gandhiji visited Madurai, the youth at that point in time helped him to oppose the Raul attack, and how the farmers of Madurai became the costume designers for Gandhiji. In the sense, it's after his Madurai visit, he turned to loincloth. And then that sense, he appealed to youth take up politics as a tool to make sure they'll get what they want. And he also promises in terms of what he calls providing services right and not as a charity by the government. It goes to sorting out or solving issues to the public across the state. So day one of Kamal Haasan's launch yesterday, 3 more days, and elections are still at least 5 months away. First election in Tamil Nadu after and Kamal Haasan hopes to carve a space for himself in this situation. In the earlier Lok Sabha polls last year, the party had polled nearly 8% votes, and he hoped to make it there. On a question on whether he would tie up, in a very general way, Kamal Haasan responded that alliances will break and new alliances will be formed, and that much I can say. And he also tweeted, taking on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying, why spend thousands of rupees on a new parliament when large populations are jobless and hungry because of this pandemic?
All right, Sam, thanks so much for joining us with those details. Now, hours before he launched his 2-year-old party's campaign for the Tamil Nadu polls, Kamal Haasan attacked Prime Minister Narendra Modi over the new parliament project for which he had laid a foundation stone recently. The veteran actor and founder of the M&M on Sunday asked what was the point of such a massive financial indulgence at a time when the country's economy was facing severe turbulence. He said, why 1,000 crore new parliament when half of India is hungry, losing livelihoods due to coronavirus?
அரசியலுக்கு வர்றதுக்கு முன்னாடியிலிருந்து தடை வைப்பாங்க. எங்களுக்கு அதெல்லாம் பழக்கம். சட்டத்துக்கு உட்பட்டு இந்த விதிமுறைகளுக்கு உட்பட்டு தான் செயல்படுவதாக இருக்கிறோம்.
While Chennaites in many low-lying pockets are still inundated, are demanding stormwater drains after experiencing two back-to-back cyclones. People living closer to the sea are fighting against concrete drains the local corporation is building. They say they don't have flooding and that these structures would destroy the natural water harvesting aquifers. Here's a report.
Stop the construction. It will ruin our beaches. Chennai residents protesting against construction of concrete stormwater drains that they say they don't need them here, as the East Coast area does not get flooded. They claim the 350 crore underground project destroys the crucial sandy aquifer underneath and would ultimately pollute the beaches they're discharged into.
Soil is sandy and water is beautifully absorbed and recharges the aquifer. We don't need a project that takes this water, precious water of the city, and puts it into the sea.
I've been living here for 23 years. I have never had floods.
They should have come to us with a detailed project report, public consultation, but they haven't done all that.
These concrete stormwater drains just around 100 meters from the sea, environmentalists say violates CRZ norms. These structures literally dump the accumulated water and dirt right into the beach at 27 points along the east coast. The beaches are also nesting ground for turtles, and environmentalists are worried.
Success rate of hatchlings coming out is likely to be affected. You'll have sewage coming in because that is the nature of Indian stormwater drains, especially ones that empty into the sea. We will have sewage streams.
Residents have moved the National Green Tribunal, which has ordered a probe. But the Chennai Corporation says these drains are part of a larger network to handle flooding in the city.
Stormwater drains would be constituting just 1% of the geographical area. For every 30 meters, we have percolation pits, and since it is a sandy area, that will work very well. Our objective is to capture and harvest most of the rainwaters that we receive.
With no stormwater drains, several areas in Chennai are still inundated. The big question is, are the corporation's priorities wrong? And is it disregarding public concerns? In Chennai, with camera person Edwin, Sam Daniel, NDTV.
BJP chief JP Nadda, who has been travelling to states like Bengal ahead of the assembly elections, announced that he has tested positive for coronavirus and has isolated himself. Mr. Nadda shared the news on his Twitter account. Mr. Nadda, who's 60 years old, said that he'd got the test done after he experienced some initial symptoms and added that his health is fine. Now, Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee tweeted her good wishes for him. Recently, Nadda had travelled to Bengal where his convoy was attacked with stones, leading to a massive controversy. She tweeted, heard about BJP National President Shri JP Nadda testing positive for COVID. Wish him a speedy recovery and good health. Well, time for us to slip into a short break. Coming up on the other side, news from Mumbai as real estate prices have gone up. Welcome back. Residential property sales in Mumbai, the country's hottest property market, have continued to record a spike in registration in the festive month of November, surpassing not only pre-COVID sales momentum, but also registering the highest monthly performance in the last 8 years, both in terms of volume and total value. Purva Chitnis reports.
Good news for the Mumbai residential market. In November, the property market saw a 67% rise in registrations year on year, the highest for the month in the last 9 years. This comes 2 months after the Maharashtra government cut stamp duty from 5% to just 2% till December and 3% between January and March. According to property consultant Knight Frank India, 9,301 units were registered in November 2020 compared to 5,574 in 2019 and 5,190 in 2018. During the pandemic, after seeing only 2,600 units getting registered in August, Since September, over 5,000 units were consistently getting registered. It is a jump of 42% over October. The lower duties have led to an increase in state government's revenue to Rs 287.9 crore in November from just 176.4 crore in August.
Last 3 years, with the demand being muted, there was a bit of price correction. Over the years, we've seen an average 2 to 3% price reduction in Mumbai. That now coupled.
Bhumi Shah is a real estate agent in Mumbai, looks after the eastern and the southern markets. She says she has seen an increase in her sales by 15 to 20%.
पर्सनली हम लोग जो पहले करते थे ना मैडम, उससे ज़्यादा बोल सकती हूँ मैं अभी रिसेंटली. अभी तक माइंड में सबके फिक्स है कि 31st तक 2% है तो फटाफट रजिस्ट्रेशन करो, वैसा टाइप का. सो है मूवमेंट 20% आप पकड़ के चल सकते हो, हाइक है.
Paras Pojwani works with many builders in Mumbai. He says people are interested in compact houses and with price dropping, affordable segment is getting sold quickly.
Basically, people are looking for apartment like 1 BHK, 2 BHK, what we have seen in the micro market. People are going for registration because the government stamp duty rebate is there of 4% and builders are giving good discount.
The real estate market has been depressed since 2016. Supply was always more than the demand. But now it seems like the demand is slowly coming back and the Maharashtra government can expect some boost in its revenue during this pandemic. In Mumbai with camera person Praveen Rohit, this is Purva Chitnas for NDTV.
Time for us to slip into a short break. On the other side, all the top news also in the US. The first round of vaccinations will begin today. Farmers' unions leading protests at the borders of the national capital against the 3 new farm laws will go on a one-day hunger strike starting 8 a.m. today. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has said he will fast in solidarity with the protesting farmers. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has said the Tukre gang are trying to take advantage of the farmers' movement against the farm laws. The Wall Street Journal has reported on how hate group Bajrang Dal has been allowed to thrive on Facebook in India out of political and safety considerations. And in the United States, the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine has been shipped out to hospitals. Vaccinations will begin today. President Trump says it's 5 years ahead of schedule. Get well, USA. The farmers' unions leading protests at the border of the national capital against the 3 new farm laws have said that the leaders of all the farmer organizations will observe a day-long hunger strike today as part of their ongoing agitation. The hunger strike is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and is part of the farmers' plan to intensify their agitation from the 14th, that's today. The farmers said that the protest will also be held in other parts of the country. The unions also disassociated themselves from a delegation of farmers from Uttarakhand who met the Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar on Sunday and extended their support to the new laws. On Sunday, protests continued across the Delhi borders with more farmers joining the stir at Shingu, and thousands of farmers on their way to Delhi reached the Rewari border of Haryana where the police blocked the Delhi-Jaipur highway to stop them from entering. They sat there in protest and the Delhi-Jaipur highway continues to be blocked today as well.
Another border point partially blocked. This time, it's the Delhi-Jaipur highway, the only new highway to be blocked as the Delhi-Noida border at Chilla opened today. As farmers from Rajasthan and Haryana marched towards Delhi, the police stopped them on the Rewari border, resulting in a blockade for those travelling from Jaipur to Delhi.
There are farmers farmers gathered on this side, singing songs on the stage. All of these farmers being led by Mr. Yogendra Yadav. On the other side of these barricades are the police deployments.
Prime Minister says he wants to gift the farmers something historic. Farmers are saying thank you, we looked at it, we don't like it, we never wanted it, we don't like it. Prime Minister says no, I'll change the wrapping. Farmers say thank you, we don't want it, we don't have arrangement, to be absolutely honest. But this challenge is too big. Yes, it's cold, yes, it's difficult, and yes, it also causes inconvenience to other commuters. We are very conscious of that. In fact, we are giving this leaflet to everyone, saying we are sorry, we don't want to trouble. This is not our aim. We want to facilitate.
जब तक ये नहीं खोलेगा तब तक हम यहीं बैठे रहेंगे. दिल्ली जरूर पहुंचना है.
With no solution in sight, the protests at the Delhi-Jaipur Highway 2 are set to continue. But for those who travel on these border routes, things are unlikely to get easier anytime soon. At the Rewari border on the Delhi-Jaipur Highway, with camera person Gauri Prasad, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Well, let's go across to Arvind now, who joins us from the Shingu border, that's the Delhi-Haryana border. And Arvind, the one-day hunger strike has begun now.
Yeah, Gargi, we are at the Singhu border where in an attempt to intensify their protest against the farm laws, against the three farm laws, Farmers Union, they have called on for a one-day hunger strike. In fact, at the Singhu border, what we are seeing is that a prayer is currently underway. Farmer union leaders have already arrived at the stage and the prayer is underway. We can also see farmers have also joined here. So the hunger strike will shortly start after this prayer. So what the farmers union leaders are saying is that they are planning to intensify this protest against the three farm laws, because in the 5 rounds of talks with the government there have been no solution that have been arrived at, and that's why the farmers union leaders, they want to intensify their protest. What they are saying is that this particular protest is not just happening at the borders of the national capital. In fact, farmers across the country are sending their support to this particular protest, and the protest will spread across the country. So today, as a mark to intensify their protest against the farm laws, the one-day hunger strike will shortly begin here. And also what the farmer union leaders shortly while ago they announced is that today around 5 p.m. they will be again addressing the media, where they would be spelling out their future course of action regarding this issue.
All right, so there, Arvind, so currently prayers are taking place, and then the hunger strike will begin, this one-day hunger strike that has been called. What else is planned in terms of intensifying the agitation? The farmer groups have said that from today, from the 14th, they're going to be intensifying the agitation.
Yeah, Gargi, in fact, what they have made it very clear is that their form of protest will be non-violent. That's why they are intensifying their protest with the march. Today, they are going on a hunger strike, one-day hunger strike. Despite the government, despite several leaders ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, despite calling them that there are some anti-social elements who are part of this particular protest, they are trying to hijack the entire protest. But the farmer leaders have always made it very clear that this particular protest is spearheaded by the farmers across the country. The farmer leaders from Punjab and Haryana are here. They are camped at the border, and today they will be starting to intensify the protest by this hunger strike. So around 5 p.m. we will be getting to know what is the future course of action, because they will be having a meeting and then they will be addressing a press conference today at 5 p.m. Tomorrow we will be getting to know, at 5 p.m. today we will be getting to know what kind of protest the farmers will be taking forward in this case.
All right, Arvind, they're reporting from Shingu. As you can see, the farmer leaders there on stage, prayers are taking place, and then the hunger strike will begin. It is a hunger strike from this morning till 5 p.m. as the farmer groups are intensifying the protest against the farm laws. Well, let's go across to Sukirti now, who joins us from near Rewari. And Sukirti, what's the situation at the border today? Yesterday, farmer groups were stopped at the Delhi-Jaipur on the Delhi-Jaipur highway, and they sat there in protest.
Well, yes, on the Delhi-Jaipur highway, these farmers who've been stopped near Rewari. Today, the police deployment continues as a precautionary measure, and there are barricades placed. However, for one way, the movement is as usual for those going from Delhi towards Jaipur. That movement is still open to vehicular movement, absolutely normal on that route. But for those coming from Jaipur towards Delhi, the movement has been blocked. The farmers are still out here carrying out a sit-in protest being led by Mr. Yogendra Yadav, So throughout the day, there will be speeches that will be made to these farmers. They'll be addressed. Also, these farmers are all across border points, for that matter, are braving the winter of Delhi at this point of time. We had a question, Mr. Yadav, yesterday on what are the arrangements for these farmers. He said, honestly, we do not have arrangements, but there's a bigger battle to fight, while some other farmers claim that the local villagers will help them out because apart from the Punjab, Haryana farmers, whichever farmers group he spoke about, their system of protest has been far less planned in terms of, how bringing rations. So here also it is more that they will be helped throughout the day with help from more local farmers leaders around Rewari and these Haryana areas, and all of the arrangements will come from their end rather than these farmers having brought things from Rajasthan itself. So definitely for the farmers it's going to be difficult being out here in the open in this cold.
All right, Sukirti, thanks so much for joining us with those details. So movement from Delhi to Jaipur is relatively free, as Sukirti was telling us, though more there are blockades on the Jaipur to Delhi movement as the farmers are sitting there in protest. Now, the IRCTC sent out nearly 2 crore emails between December 8th and December 12th to all its customers, listing 13 decisions taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to support Sikhs amid these protests by farmers against the new laws. The Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation emailed to its customers a 47-page booklet, PM Modi and his government's special relationship with Sikh as part of the government's public interest outreach. Well, let's go across to Ghazali now for more on this story. And Ghazali, very interesting, given this is really not the mandate of the railways or the IRCTC and reaching out. So it's a part of this whole outreach program by the government.
Yeah, certainly, because IRCTC is sending out these emails on behalf of the government. It is many are accusing IRCTC of being the frontal mouthpiece of government, while first the allegation was that these emails were just sent out to Sikhs, showing how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done or taken many steps for the welfare of Sikh community. But when there was an uproar over this, so the IRCTC clarified that this was not sent out to only the people from the Sikh community, but it was sent out to the entire more than around 12 of the email was sent out to the entire database which the IRCTC had, and listed out a lot of steps taken by the Prime Minister, this government, for the community. And they say it was just a welfare scheme for the public interest, and they just wanted to promote the government welfare schemes. So IRCTC sent out 1.9 crore emails in 5 days till December 12, and when the approval was there, then it was discontinued. So certainly they are trying to convince. It has to do with the farm agitation, where Punjab is the epicenter, or maximum farmers are from Punjab. So IRCTC also doing its bit to ease the pressure on the government.
Right, and though Ghazali, they've obviously used information that customers have put on the site, or when they've been booking tickets, etc. So that information has been used to send out these emails.
Yeah, certainly. Everybody is asking about that, how a public entity having all this database or the personal details. It is certainly a issue for the personal safety or security, in the sense that your data has been used for the government outreach program, and the email says that it has come out from the railway minister, from Piyush Goyal, but IRCTC has clarified that they are just sent out not only to the Sikh community but to the entire database of passengers or people who they had, and they just wanted to reach out to everyone to show that how Prime Minister has done, or what welfare measures Prime Minister has taken in the last 6 years for the community.
All right. Thanks so much, Ghazali, for joining us with those details. So 2 crore people received those emails from the IRCTC. News now from Kerala, and the last phase of voting for the local body elections began ahead of the 16th December counting, which will be the last show of strength ahead of the 2021 assembly polls. There you can see the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan also casting his vote this morning. Well, let's go across to Sneha for more. And Sneha, very key local elections, as we said, ahead of the state elections, and the Chief Minister casting his vote today.
Well, that's right. In fact, it's a 3-phase
And today is the last phase ahead of the 16th December counting. And today there are 4 districts in northern Kerala, Kannur, Kasaragod, Malappuram, among the districts being that are going for polls. Now, it's also critical because this is the last show of strength ahead of the 2021 assembly polls. Now, what is important is in many pockets, while the LDF has had a majority in the local bodies in 2015, as of these 3 phases, there are several wards where it's been a 3-cornered fight between the UDF, LDF, as well as the NDA. It's also important to be seen which way the votes would go, who would come to power, because political parties are seeing this as a litmus test ahead of the 2021 assembly polls to see the mood of the people. So that being one thing, also it's to give you a backdrop. The Chief Minister on Saturday, while responding to a series of questions from the reporters, had spoken about how the vaccination, the COVID-19 vaccines would be free and would be distributed free by the government in Kerala. No one will be charged for. So the UDF has also written to the State Election Commission saying that this is an alleged violation of the Model Code of Conduct and that this came just before the 3rd phase of voting. Well, the CPM has said this is not any violation. This was in response to a question asked by the reporter. So this being the situation as of now, closely watched local body polls in Kerala.
Some entertainment news now, and Twinkle Khanna interviewed the director of Tenet, Christopher Nolan, for her website Tweak India, and obviously asked him what made him pick her mother, Dimple Kapadia, for the role of an arms dealer in the film. Take a look.
You have Priya as an arms dealer from Mumbai. All of us wanted to know, how did you think of casting Dimple? Well, my mom. What was the one thing that convinced you that she was right for the part?
Sitting in the room with her and talking to Dimple, and the charisma and the poise that she has, and the depth of experience, which was immediately apparent when, I turned up in Mumbai with my video camera and asked her to perform a couple of scenes, and we worked together, and I tried things different way and asked her to do things different ways. Her skill and charisma was immediately apparent. It was very much what I wanted for that character. So I was very, very excited to have found someone who I knew could take what I had hoped for and what I put on the page and take it to the next level.
And she called me before she had to go for the audition, and she said, I'm very, very stressed out. I have to go for this audition and I don't know what to give Christopher Nolan as a gift. And I was like, Mom, you're going for an audition, not his housewarming party. Just go and do your best. And when she came back and she told me what all she did in the audition, I was convinced she would never get the part. Apparently, she was recommending other actresses for her role. Is that true?
It is true. It's not the first time. I seem to remember meeting, I think it was Liam Neeson for a part in Batman Begins, and he immediately started recommending other actors and saying, no, you don't want me. And I don't quite know what goes into that thinking on the part of a great actor. I don't know, but if anything, it makes you more excited to work with that person because you see a sense of modesty about them. You see a sense of nervousness in a way. And that's the kind of creative person that you want to collaborate with. It was a really, really fun audition, actually, for me. I mean, she said she was nervous. I think we flew all the way to Mumbai from Los Angeles just for that one audition and went all the way back the next day, or the same day, I think. And then we started filming in LA, and then we went to Estonia. I always kind of knew that there was going to be this exciting moment where Dimple would turn up in Tallinn in Estonia, and we'd get to work together.
With that, time for us to slip into a short break. More news on the other side, and a school in Srinagar that's a Bijli donor. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the latest that actor Sonu Sood is doing, he's become quite a champion, and actor Sonu Sood has now announced a new initiative under which he would be providing e-rickshaws to the underprivileged who lost their source of livelihood during the coronavirus pandemic. Remember, he's become a big champion of those who have suffered during the pandemic and the lockdown, and now this e-rickshaw campaign. He says, I believe providing job opportunities is more important than distributing supplies. I'm sure this initiative will help them stand up on their feet yet again by making them self-reliant and self-sufficient, is what his statement says, as he's set to provide e-rickshaws to those who lost their jobs. And finally, a school in Srinagar that's a Bijli donor because they save electricity that can be used elsewhere. TPS Srinagar runs entirely on solar energy and even has surplus power. Nazir Masoodi reports.
Under the foothills of Zabarwan mountains, solar panels installed on the rooftops of Delhi Public School in Srinagar. It is not just lighting the campus, the solar power is lighting thousands of young minds and teaching them how to become self-reliant in energy and save hefty power bills. For last 2 years, the school is generating 300 kilowatts of solar power and ready to add 200 kilowatts more. And it's not just lights, running computers and other appliances. In Kashmir's sub-zero temperature, the school is running its entire heating system in solar power. In a place suffering from perennial power outage during harsh winters, the TPS is setting an example for its 5,000 students on how to overcome the chronic power deficit with alternate source of energy.
If we really want to help this society as a whole, we need to shift from we need to transition to a low carbon economy.
Installation of solar panels in DPS helped me realize that this could be a start of something greater than just power. It could be something moving towards sustainable energy.
The management takes pride that the DPS Srinagar is the first school in country which is 150% solar. The man behind the self-reliance in energy is Vijay Dhar, the owner of the school. With an innate urge to engage youth in sports and innovation, Dhar says he is building an Olympic-sized swimming pool and badminton academy that will be heated through solar energy.
We're building an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We'll have it heated. We're building a badminton academy that will be heated. So things like that will come in. But I would still recommend that all schools, all colleges, all universities should go solar.
While the government provides a subsidy of 70% to every beneficiary, a common refrain among students is how to reach out to poor people living in far-off places with solar energy. With Nazir Masoodi, Usama Shah for NDTV.